After the fiery battle against Destroyer and saving Axel, some knights from the capital visit the heroes. They come looking for Kazuma since the core that Wiz teleported ended up exploding in Lord Alderp's mansion. Now, Kazuma is suspected of having a connection with the Demon King. Kazuma is captured and taken to the capital's prison to be later questioned by Senna, the state prosecutor, to see if they find enough evidence to convict him. While in prison, his trio of friends tries to get Kazuma out multiple times. Unfortunately, despite being well-intentioned, the girls aren't the brightest, and their plans backfire every time. Finally, sure of his innocence, Kazuma decides to sleep and wait for his interrogation. After spending a few days in prison, Kazuma is finally questioned by Senna. She has a small magic bell in her possession that works as a lie detector, as it rings every time someone lies in the room. The prosecutor starts asking Kazuma questions to find out if he has any connection to the Demon King. When the prosecutor asks if he has any relation to the Demon King, the lie detector rings, warning that Kazuma is lying. However, he tells her that he doesn't have any close links with the enemy, to which the lie detector doesn't give any alert proving that he is telling the truth. The interrogation seems to be going well, until Senna asks if he doesn't have any relations with any of the Demon King's leaders. At that time, the hero forgets that Wiz is one of the 9 leaders of the Demon King, so when Kazuma denies any connection to the generals, the detector goes off, alerting the prosecutor. Albeit untrue, the interrogation ended with the conclusion that Kazuma had a connection to the Demon King. Because of that, the hero was put on trial for treason and terrorism. However, the inhabitants of Axel didn't believe in these accusations and still supported him. After listening to the witnesses' statements, both positive and negative, the prosecutor decides to use the lie detector again. On this occasion, Kazuma declared his total innocence before the judge and the bell, which made no sound, indicated that he was telling the truth. Just when the judge was about to release him thanks to his testimony in front of the lie detector, Lord Alderp interferes, and Kazuma's freedom was suspended. Lord Alderp plunged to attack Kazuma, but before he could harm him, Darkness comes to his defense, revealing an emblem of the Dustiness family, one of the most influential in the entire kingdom. To help Kazuma, Darkness gives herself to Lord Alderp, saying she'll do whatever he wants if he just stops intervening in the trial. The judge declared the matter inconclusive due to a lack of evidence and released Kazuma under surveillance. After the verdict, Darkness is taken to Lord Alderp's mansion, and the rest of the hero team is dropped off at home by the Lord's guards. The team finds themselves with one member down and again penniless thanks to massive debt after destroying the mansion. Feeling sad and overwhelmed that Darkness hasn't come back from Alderp's, Kazuma decides to get quests to start paying off his debt and get his friend released. However, thanks to the mess Megumin, Aqua, and Darkness made during the nights Kazuma was in jail, giant toads now surround the town. On Senna's orders, the team must clean up the mess left behind by the girls and take care of hunting down all the toads. When they meet in the field, Aqua, as usual, finds herself running away from the toads so as to not be eaten. Megumin, for her part, manages to use her magic and defeat one of the toads. Still, the explosion attracts more, and she finds herself paralyzed and about to be eaten. Thanks to Megumin's explosion attracting more toads, Aqua, Kazuma, and Senna are in serious danger of being defeated and eaten by the toads. When only Kazuma remains in the team, a mysterious girl appears using a powerful destruction spell that knocks out the toads and manages to save the heroes. The girl who saves them turns out to be Yunyun, a classmate from Megumin's sorcery school who calls herself her arch-rival. Yunyun comes to challenge Megumin to a magical duel. Still, since Megumin has already used her spell and has no energy, they engage in a physical fight. The others stop them since the whole thing become kinda ridiculous, thanks to both lacking in physical skills. A few days later, the heroes head to Wiz's shop and run into Yunyun again, who claims to be there by chance. Upon meeting Megumin, she decides to challenge her to a duel again. This time, they do it with magical spheres that projects the happiest memories of both. However, once they're under the effects of the magic, both girls realize that they're lonely and sad and have no friends, and to top it off, they get bullied for having strange names. Megumin decides to destroy the sphere, and the match ends in a draw to the end of their embarrassment. Although Kazuma was still a suspect, he always accompanied Megumin to her daily training routine outside of Axel. But as he's helping her, he expresses how he feels overwhelmed by their situation, the debts, and the problem with Darkness' apparent kidnapping. So the heroes decide to accept a quest in a dungeon to get money to survive. Megumin and Aqua both refuse at first, but they both eventually take it because this is their last option to avoid starvation. When they arrive at the dungeon of Kalib, a former mage from Axel's kingdom, Megumin decides not to enter as she wouldn't be able to use her explosive magic and wouldn't be of much help. So Kazuma decides to enter alone since he can see in the dark thanks to his new ability. Although he chooses to go alone, Aqua accompanies him since she can see in the dark, thanks to her powers as a goddess. Going further into the dungeon, they encounter undead and low-level demons further down, which Aqua effortlessly purifies and eliminates. Upon reaching the end of the dungeon, they meet Khalib, one of the undead who has been waiting for the moment when a priestess would come and purify him so that he could be reunited with his wife. After being purified, Khalib presents his treasure to the heroes, and they leave for the exit. However, before they go out, the heroes are ambushed by undead summoned by Aqua's goddess powers and energy. Kazuma runs away and leaves her in the dungeon, taking the loot with him. Aqua also manages to get out, but with severe trauma from the attack. Eventually, Darkness returns home with her companions wearing different clothes than usual. When her worried friend asks her what happened, she claims that nothing terrible happened at the Lord's mansion. Lord Aldorp wanted her to marry his son, but she turned down the proposal. It turns out that Darkness went to the group's house to get their help with the arranged marriage issue, since Darkness's family seemed to agree with Lord Aldorp's proposal. Kazuma, seeing that Darkness isn't really in any danger, wants to take the opportunity to get rid of her and decides to help the Dustiness wed her with the Lord Aldorp's son. When the group arrives at the Dustiness mansion, Darkness's family asks Kazuma to keep an eye on Darkness, whose real name is Lalatina. They ask him because they know of her plans to generate the biggest displeasure to Lord Aldorp's son so that he refuses to marry too. In the end, despite Dustiness' requests, Kazuma cannot stop Darkness from making a big ruckus. She challenges Lord Aldorp's son Walter to a duel so that he can prove his character and that he's worthy of claiming her hand. Walter accepts, and they have a battle where Darkness doesn't land any blows but manages to stay on her feet thanks to her incredible resistance. After a while, Walter gives up and forgets the idea of marrying Darkness, but he seems intrigued to get to know her more. However, Darkness rejects him, claiming that he's too much of a gentleman and she's more attracted to a man like Kazuma. Darkness decides to challenge Kazuma to a duel to show the character that Walt needs to have in order to win her hand. Although Kazuma refuses at first, after being mocked, he chooses to attack Darkness with spells until he manages to steal her life energy and defeat her. The marriage proposal is rejected, and Darkness is relieved. Her father also expresses how happy he is for his daughter now that she has a group of friends to have adventures with and fulfill her dream. Lastly, he asks Kazuma to care for his daughter, and then he turns to Darkness to tell her that he's proud of her. Before heading back to their home, Senna arrives at the Dustiness house looking for Kazuma and his group since she needs them to eliminate the undead spirits haunting the village. These appeared thanks to the seal Aqua created in the dungeon they had visited. Arriving at the dungeon, Kazuma decides to enter the darkness to remove the seal and fulfill the mission. Upon entering the dungeon, they meet Vanir, a mighty demon who is also one of the Demon King's army leaders. He claims to be there because he was looking for a dungeon to stay in but couldn't get past Aqua's seal. Vanir attacks the heroes, and Darkness manages to damage and seemingly defeat him. However, this was not his actual body, and Vanir possesses Darkness so that he can attack and defeat Kazuma. Vanir is amazed at Darkness's incredible power and stamina, but realizes that he doesn't have complete control over her. Nevertheless, Darkness continues to speak and have reason, even under Vanir's control, thanks to her unwavering fighting spirit. As Vanir is distracted trying to control Darkness entirely, Kazuma manages to slip away and remove Aqua's seal. Now that he managed to erase the seal, Kazuma tells Darkness they should go. Still, Vanir seems to have taken complete control over her and leaves the dungeon looking to kill everyone outside. They all have a battle against Vanir on the way out until Kazuma encourages Darkness to free herself for a few seconds so Aqua can purify the demon. Although Darkness convinces Vanir to let her go, the demon wouldn't let them cleanse him. Then, Darkness decided to sacrifice herself and take a direct hit from Megumin's explosive magic to finish off Vanir. Megumin casts her magic and attacks Darkness, managing to kill Vanir. Thanks to her stamina and Aqua's healing magic, Darkness barely manages to survive the attack. In this way, the group of heroes succeeds once again. In addition, Kazuma is freed from the suspicion of being an ally of the Demon King. Finally, the group receives a reward which they use to pay off all of their debt. After a few days, Darkness and Kazuma go to Wiz's store to buy magic items. However, they're perplexed when they arrive and find Vanir, who is still alive. Although he tells them that he's no longer a threat, he also states that he no longer wants to be one of the Demon King's leaders. When they ask him how he may still be alive after the last battle, he tells them that he only lost one of his extra lives. In addition, he takes advantage of the occasion to propose to Kazuma a business deal that consists of selling objects from Kazuma's homeland. Kazuma gains blacksmith skills and a new sword as he trains to be a better warrior. and even though the heroes no longer need to do quests to survive, they decide to keep doing them to level up as they were determined to defeat the Demon King. So the group decides to accept the mission of defeating some running lizards. Arriving at where the lizards are, Kazuma devises a plan to defeat them. But as they're about to complete the plan, Aqua makes a mistake and messes it up, making the lizards attack them directly. In this attack, Kazuma dies again and returns to Limbo. When he stays to talk a while longer with Eris, believing that she's the right woman for him, although Kazuma initially plans to return, he tells Eris to reincarnate him elsewhere, thanks to the girls bothering him. However, when Aqua tells him that Megumin and darkness will defile his body, he finally decides to return. After many arduous missions, our heroes decide to take a vacation in the lands of Arcanletia. This is a very famous town amongst heroes of the guild since it's full of relaxing hot springs with fantastic healing properties. Before the trip, Kazuma decides to take Wiz with him, seeing her weakened after Vanir attacked her for not filling the store with useless things to sell. The heroes are attacked by falcon runners, drawn in by the glow of darkness's armor along the way. Although our heroes defeat the falcons, Aqua's powers draw the undead back at night. Nevertheless, the heroes emerge victorious in battle, though Aqua almost kills Wiz, accidentally. Upon finally arriving in Arcanletia, they realize that these people belong to the cult of Axis, worshipping the goddess Aqua. They also recognize that the town is highly righteous and seek to get more and more people to join the Axis cult. Already in the center of Arcanletia, Aqua realizes that the city's waters are being poisoned and deduces that it's the fault of one of the Demon King's allies. To help the town, Aqua goes around the city purifying all the hot springs. However, although she thinks it's a good thing, in reality the townspeople are annoyed with her for turning the hot springs into plain water. When Aqua tries to explain the situation to them and tell them who she is, the townspeople accuse her of lying by claiming to be the goddess they praise. After the townspeople chase Aqua to the inn where they're staying, the group of heroes decides to find the reason for the water poisoning. They walk up to the mountain to the point of origin of the hot springs and meet Hans. Hans is one of the leaders of the Demon King, who can turn into a highly poisonous creature. At that moment, it's clear to the heroes that Hans is behind the poisoning of the hot springs. The heroes didn't want to face him, realizing the power of his poison. But when trying to flee, the mob of the inhabitants chasing Aqua finds them on the mountain, and they have no choice but to face Hans. During the battle, Wiz reveals that she already knew Hans and couldn't attack him thanks to a non-aggression pact the Demon King's leaders had with each other. However, they could break this pact if one attacked an innocent. Since Hans attacked the caretaker of the hot springs, Wiz could attack him. Kazuma devised a plan to defeat Hans, using Megumin's magic to blow him up, but he'll die in the attempt. The plan was carried out, with Kazuma dying after the explosion. Although Hans still didn't die after Megumin used her magic, Wiz locks him in an ice prison so he won't escape. Aqua, encouraged at last by her followers, manages to use her magic and defeat Hans once and for all. At the end of the battle, the town kicked the heroes out of Arcanletia after Aqua purified all the water. She removed all the poison from the hot springs, but she also accidentally removed the healing properties and turned them into just hot water. After reviving Kazuma again, they all return to Axel, where fate has new adventures in store for this unique group of heroes. And that was KonoSuba God's Blessings on This Land Season 2 recap. If you enjoyed this recap, remember to hit that sub, click the like button, and comment down below to let me know what you think of the series. I'll see you on the next video.